Hey, Shalom, Malcolm, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us his truth. A sincere Shalom to the hopeful like this out there, listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom. Alright, Akim. So today's lesson is going to be on the topic of Nero. And, we know that through the Spirit, we believe that Donald Trump is Nero in the reincarnation. Okay, there's many parallels. And today we're going to touch on a few of those parallels. We're really going into the freaky, sexually immoral nature of Esau. All right, especially this particular Edomite named Nero. Okay, and it's almost like a part 2 to my last video, because I did mention it in my last video what this man did. Okay, first I want to grab a precept. This is Psalms 144 verse 7. It says, "Send thine hand from above, rid me and deliver me out of great waters, from the hand of strange children." Okay, and those strange children are the Edomites, man. And many of the prophets of old, as well as those of us now who are in this truth, we beg the Lord for mercy and to deliver us from the hand of our enemies, man. Okay, pursuant to Luke chapter 1 verse 71, that's part of salvation. Okay, being saved from this condition, being ruled over by these strange children. Okay, why are they considered children? Like we read in the book of Job yesterday. Okay, basically Job called them strange children, man, because they are childish. Okay, they are not. It's like a child that's not fully developed. He lacks wisdom. That's how Esau is, man. You can see that through his system that he sets up, man, here on the earth. Okay, it's all about money and capitalism, and fuck everybody else, fuck humanity, fuck the resources of the earth. And they hate the ways of Yahweh Shai Shai. These are the biggest atheists. You got that Aleister Crowley guy, do as thou wilt. Okay, you got all these Edomites saying they could piss the Lord off. Elon Musk with his Jesus level miracles. They blaspheme the Lord, right? These are base men. These are the wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. But just going into how they're strange, man, because these are the same people who's on the Epstein files predominantly. It's Edomites. Okay, who gets in trouble for having sex with animals? Okay, what's the largest member of the alphabet community? Okay. All right, I typed in what percentage of the alphabet community by race. Okay. Now you got to be careful with the AI overview, because they will try to throw you off. See, they trying to say it's Jake. Identification is highest among Hispanic and Black adults when broken down by race and ethnicity, larger because these communities skew younger. But if you read on, it says the alphabet identification rates by demographic group includes Hispanics, Blacks, and whites. But you got to understand, Hispanic and white, they mix that statistic. So let's look at the overall community composition. Because people of color identify as alphabet at slightly higher rates and are also on average younger than the white population, which that doesn't make any sense. How are you younger than another race? About 42% of the overall alphabet adult community are people of color, which is all bullshit. Here's the real statistic. Whites 58%. Hispanic, Latino 21, Black 12. Okay, and then the rest. Okay, but just showing you that it's Esau at the top of the list. Okay. So in simple terms, the largest in simple terms, so-called white people make up biggest piece of the pie when it comes to being alphabet. Yes. See, so you got to be careful with the AI overview. They will word things a certain way. All right. And I believe part of that reason is because they know that the prophets are using AI to prove certain points, without having to dig up a bunch of statistics. Okay, you can find them pretty easy on here, but you got to be careful with the wording. Okay, yes, white people make up the largest portion of the total alphabet population in the U.S. Okay, there you go. That's all we needed, man. Okay, straight from Esau's own mouth, and his own AI is, speaking against him. All right, but that's pretty much it on that, man. We're going to read this story about Nero. Okay, and it's about this man named Sporus. Okay, so long story short, Nero had a wife named Poppaea, and he ended up killing her, long story short. But he felt very bad about it. He regretted it. So he looked all over Rome for women who looked like his wife Poppaea, and he couldn't find one. But one day he saw this boy named Sporus, or not a boy, he was a man. I believe he was in his 20s. Well, might have been when he died. He was probably younger than that, but y'all could do your own research on it. Basically, he said, "Oh, he has the same eyes of her as my wife." So he took this boy and decided to make him his wife. Okay, which is fucking sick, man. But what do you expect from these strange children, man? Okay, let's get into it. And by the way, this is very disturbing, so I'm just going to let you know. It says Sporus died 69 AD, was a young slave boy whom the Roman Emperor Nero castrated, okay, and married during his tour of Greece in 66 to 67 AD, allegedly in order for him to play the role of his wife, Poppaea Sabina, who had died under uncertain circumstances the previous year, possibly during childbirth or after being assaulted by Nero. You see? It's crazy, man. It doesn't make any sense. If my wife dies, as an Israelite, a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, we don't think like that. We don't think like, oh, let me find a boy that looks like my wife. What kind of shit is that? Okay? You find another woman that may or may not look like her, But anyway, we'll continue. It says, ancient historians generally portray the relationship between Nero and Sporus as an abomination, right? And that's what the scriptures say, man. Let's get real quick. Leviticus 20, verse 13. This is why the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Shai, the ways of the Bible, are the ways of life. No other basically no other idol, or no idol, I'm gonna say it like that, no idol and no religion, so-called, has a rule book that makes sense the way our Bible makes sense, man. Leviticus 20:13, if a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, Both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. You see? So this is why the Lord punished it by death, because it was an abomination. It's something horrible, man. It spreads death. It doesn't spread life. You can't create life from two men coming together. Okay? Now let's get back into it. It says, ancient historian, right, the abomination. It says, Suetonius places his account of the Nero-Sporus relationship in his scandalous accounts of Nero's sexual aberrations. So it wasn't just that he had sex with a boy who he turned into a girl, okay? Which you could look that up on YouTube. There's a whole story behind what he did, and basically he had like all the best doctors and surgeons come together and told him, look, you're going to turn him into my wife or y'all going to die. But if you succeed, you get all these riches. So, it just shows the lengths that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is willing to go to achieve his goals, man. He's willing to do all these wicked, evil things. And he doesn't have any regard for anybody but himself. He's an adult child, man. The same spirit, the same way he did that in his past life. Okay, you can relate that extreme, insatiable desire to how he's fucking up the world with these data centers. The fact that he wants to put a chip in everybody, Esau. Starting with these elite international banking families, they want to enslave humanity with a chip. So as you can see, it's no mercy, it's no regard for anybody. Okay, that's how Esau, Edom is. Okay, and these truly are strange children, man. Base men. Brute beasts, man. Okay? Let's get that scripture in Jude, man. This is Jude 1 and 10. But these speak evil of those things which they know not, but what they know naturally as brute beasts. In those things they corrupt themselves. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain. Right? And I bring this out because Cain, we know that Cain died and reincarnated as Esau, which is the progenitor of the so-called white race. Okay? And it's comparing Cain to a brute beast, and those who follow in the way of Cain is comparing them to brute beasts, man. So we're going to grab this word brute beast in Jude 1 and 10. Brute, G249, alogos. It means destitute of reason, contrary to reason, absurd, right? That's an absurd thing. To turn a man into a woman is absurd. Right? To turn a woman into a man. That's absurd, man. But what is America pushing on the earth? They're pushing alphabets as alphabet philosophy. The philosophy that a man and a man can get together. They're pushing that as human rights. Okay? Now, they say that human rights. Let's look this up real quick. Human rights. Let's see. Alphabet falls under human rights. Watch this. All right, overview. Yes, alphabet rights are human rights as established under international human rights frameworks. Okay, and who's the biggest proponent of this? Who's the one that spends the most amount of resources to push this worldwide? Is America. That's why the scriptures say that it's that golden cup in the Lord's hand, right? That made the nations drunk, because these weird philosophies are all over the world, man. It's fucking up everything. Okay, now look at this. Is food a human right? Okay, internationally recognized, but there were two countries that said it wasn't a human right. Which two countries voted against food being a human right? And this is something I read a long time ago, but that's why I got to use, just to get to the point. The AI overview says the United States and Israel are the only two countries that have voted against United Nations resolutions declaring food to be a fundamental human right. You see, and this has been fact checked too. So it's not just something that's, you can look into it. The United Nations, they made this resolution. Every country in the world voted that food should be a human right. Okay? But what does America do? No, you don't got the money, fuck you. They let you die. You go out there, you be homeless. Now they're making laws that it's illegal to be homeless, so they can put you in a concentration camp and do what? And get forced labor out of you. Okay, this is insatiable greed, this demented, strange child called Esau. Okay, the United States and Israel, they said no, food is not a human right. But we go back here, being a Mo, a British cigarette. You can be a Mo. That's a human right. But food, nah, that's not important. You see, this is madness. Okay, and who is the one that these wicked philosophies are being put out there under? Who are the? And this is a law, man. They were trying to get people that can't afford food. Roughly paraphrasing, they were gonna get them free food, but America and Israel said no. You see, it's not recognized as a human right to be able to eat. Okay, showing you what? Okay, showing you the wickedness of Esau, man, and how he's not fit to rule, because this is happening under his rulership, right? Okay, and that is destitute of reason. That is absurd, right? So this man is a brute beast, man. This is why the Lord took his melanin away from him, because when he was Cain, okay, he did that wicked thing. He killed his brother Abel, like a brute beast. He couldn't look and reason within himself. Okay, Abel gave a better sacrifice. I learned my lesson. I should do better. No, he just became a murderer. And that's the same murderer today. The same one who, stole the land from the Native American Indians here and slaughtered millions of indigenous. Same thing with the so-called African Americans. Slaughtered them, destroyed their neighborhoods when they were doing well, like Black Wall Street. Okay, this is that murderer, man. Okay, this is Cain reincarnated as Esau, and then Esau's descendants. These are the ones who rule the world right now, man. That's why the world is fucked up. Okay. This is Job 30:1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Right. And Job is talking about Esau, man. Esau rules over us now. All right. But, back when Job was around, he wouldn't want no Edomites around his dog. Right. And we looked it up yesterday. Let's do it again for edification, man. Who is the biggest offender of bestiality by race? Studies on bestiality arrests indicate that the majority of documented offenders are white males. You see? 85% of identified individuals arrested or prosecuted for bestiality-related crimes were Caucasian. Boom, you see? So these are the strange children, man. Men with men. Men and women with animals. With young children, prepubescent children, man. The Epstein files, okay? Every manner of sexual freakazoid activity, for lack of a better word, is these dirty Edomites, man. Okay? Let's continue here. Back to the Wikipedia article on spores. Back in this paragraph here, second paragraph. All right. It says Suetonius places his account of the Nero Sporus relationship in his scandalous accounts of Nero's sexual aberrations between his raping of Vestal Virgin and committing incest with his mother. You see, this man was a freak. He had sex with family members. He was a graper, right? And he turned a young boy or a man into a woman. Okay, which that's mo activity. Okay, now it says some think Nero used his marriage to Sporus, and before we go on, this incest with his mother, I do got a precept for that, man. What does the law say? You see, you're not gonna find these rules in the religions of the heathen. That's what makes us a special people, us so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, because we have a way of life that differs from all other nations. These other nations, they live as brute beasts. Okay, but we live in a way that's very wise and understanding. Okay, there's consequence to your actions, man. You can't have a people that rule the world who act like brute beasts, or they're going to destroy the world. Okay, the leadership has to be of a clean spirit. Okay, that's why we're the only people that are fit to rule. That's why the scripture says, that we're above all nations of the earth, man. All right, but this is Leviticus 18:6. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahweh. Right? Near kin is going into family members. You're not supposed to have sex with family members, man. Very close relatives. Like, for example, the nakedness of your father, the nakedness of thy mother, right? You're not supposed to have sex with your mother. That's what Nero did, man. Shalt thou not uncover, she is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. See? So you're not supposed to have sex with your mom, man. Now, a lot of people think it's obvious, but it's like, and it is obvious to us Jakes, man. But these Edomites behind closed doors, they do a lot of this shit, man. Why do you think the porn industry, right, which is owned by these CEOs who are what? J-ish, right? There's a rabbi that owns Corn to the Hub, okay? What's every fucking video on there, man? It's talking about, sex with mom or sex with daughter or sex with brother or sister or stepmother. It's always some weird incest shit, man. That's why I don't even want to be anywhere near that shit, man. You brothers watching that are new, stay away from that shit, man. That shit is disgusting. All right, that's nothing but sexual immorality to destroy your mind and your body and put all type of wicked images in your mind. All right? And it's just an example of what type of people are in rulership and the spirit that's on them. This is not a Christian nation, man. Okay, these people that rule are freaks, for lack of a better word. Okay? But with that being said, let's get back into this real quick. Pretty sure that was everything except for... Yeah, that's pretty much it I wanted to go into in this article, man. I do encourage brothers, that don't know about this, you go on YouTube and find, miniature documentaries on this whole topic right there, man. But let's look into Nero today, man. Who is Nero today? We often bring it out. It's Donald Trump. Okay, let's look at how Donald Trump looks at his daughter, who is a near kin. All right, this is fair use for educational purposes only.
Ivanka Trump. We want to know a little bit more about you guys. So we play this game here. It's called Phase 5. I'll ask the question. Ivanka, you answer first, and then Dad, you answer also. Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father? Either real estate or golf. Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Hey, you see that? Let's play it again.
State or golf? Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Well, I was gonna say sex. That motherfucker said it with, you know. And you could just see the comments. People are like, what? I can't believe it. It's like, yeah, you should believe it because, you know, the prophets have been telling you Jakes for years, man. Here at Great Millstone, we've been told you this man is the devil. Okay? Let's get another piece of example. Fair use.
It would be really disappointing. Not really. But it would depend on what was inside the magazine. I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird!
I have never been so grateful for an ellipsis in my life.
You know who's one of the great beauties of the world, according to everybody, and I helped create her? Ivanka. My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body. She's hot. She's got Marlon's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell. Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
She would be incredible for women in this country. And
Well, there you see it, man. You know what else? Just think about that video I made yesterday, man, where we saw that you know, that we're going into what Trump said about the Indian prime minister and about another leader of another country, both men. You know, one of them, he was saying that he fell in love with him and that he's one of the most beautiful men in the world. What kind of shit is that, man? That's some Edomite shit. Now, I got one more grand finale for you. This is going into the Epstein files. All right? Fair use for educational purposes only. Hey, so there you go, man. There's Nero back at it again. I'll let it play in the background. But there's Nero back at it again. And here in the reincarnation, man. You know, like we often go into, Trump is Nero in the reincarnation. Alright? And we just proved with this video he's a Mo. Alright? And y'all can pause that. You know, basically that's a rumor that was going around. It's been confirmed, man. You know, you can look up that file on Google and it'll show up. You know, Bubba is Clinton's nickname, man, and there's a picture of Trump blowing him apparently, right? Which, you know, it's on the file, and that file has been confirmed to be a true file. So there you go. You know, he's a Mo. You know, he has no problems doing it with his daughter, I would imagine, just based off what we've seen. Okay? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they were sleeping with animals, which, of course, I'm going to say they are. Right? You know how these freak-offs get off, you know, these elites get off in their freak-offs and shit. But, you know, like the scripture says, prove all things, man. All right? We showed you with the scriptures, with history, okay? With these different videos and news clips, you know, of the modern Nero. And just think about the ancient Roman Empire, man. The ancient Roman Empire was one big, you know, alphabet kingdom, man. Lots of men and men sleeping together in Rome, in Greece. You know, that's where they invented the gymnasium. You know, the word gymnasium, if you go back to it, you know, that was one of the customs of the Greeks was to go work out naked. Let's get this word gymnasium real quick. I bet I spelled it wrong by accident, but there we go. Gymnasium, place of exercise, from Latin gymnasium, school for gymnastics, from Greek gymnasium, public place where athletic exercises are practiced, gymnastics school, in plural bodily exercises, from gymnasium, to exercise or train, literally or figuratively, literally, here we go, literally, to train naked. Okay, so that's how it originated, man. And if you look into it, you know, they were wrestling naked in the Greek Empire and probably in the Roman Empire as well. Okay, you know, the Greco-Roman Empire was full of freaks. Okay, because they were both ruled by the Edomites, and America is no different. America is simply Rome all over again, which we often bring out as well. All right, but that's pretty much it, Akim. That's all I wanted to go into today. You know, just going into that wickedness and, you know, of Esau, just going into Nero and Trump. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But with that, I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Hakwadash. Double honor unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful like that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom wa. Abad babal. Shalom.